Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 54 units of real estate. So today I want to talk about building wealth and why building wealth is a lot simpler than you think. You know, it's easy to get caught up saying, oh, it's impossible for me. You know, I can't save money. I need to make more money before I can invest. But, you know, like from what I've seen people with multiple income levels, you know, regardless if it's, you know, 50,000 teacher salary, 80,000, 100,000, $200,000, like all the principles apply, right? And I think the key thing for me is regardless of my salary, right? You know, I started off, you know, yes, a pharmacist, higher income, you know, starting off six figures, but I started off with $250,000 of student debt, which people forget about, right? And that's a huge crutch. And I know a lot of pharmacists who still have their student debt and they graduated, you know, 12, 13 years ago, like when I did. You know, I paid off my student debt in 4 years. How do you pay off your student debt in 4 years? It's simple to do. It's hard to execute because it requires a lot of discipline and, you know, requires a lot of delayed gratification. So how did I do it? It's very simple. You basically spend less than you make. Easy as that, right? It's so simple. You spend less than you make. Easy for me to say, hard to execute. Just like getting a six-pack at the gym. Just work out every day, eat clean, and probably just get a good amount of sleep. Like if you do that, you'll have a nice body, right? Or a better body than you have right now. So once again, very simple, but really hard to execute. So it's just doing these small, simple things over a long period of time, I would say at least 10 years. And then you'll start to see these massive results. And I can kind of see the compounding now too, because I've been investing for at least 10 years, you know, 8 years in real estate. I've been, you know, living frugally since I graduated pharmacy school, making six figures. Right? You know, right now I make, you know, $250,000 plus, and I still live very frugally and humbly, like relative to my income. So regardless of the amount you make, so if you take home $5,000, what's your margin? You have to have margin. So you have to look at your expenses, right? Or even $2,000. If you take home $5,000 a month, but you spend $5,000 a month, you're at zero. There's no way that you can invest if that's the route that you're taking, right? Or somebody who takes home $2,000, but they only live off $1,000. They have $1,000 margin. Well, this person is better off, in my opinion, right? Despite a lower income. So it's really about having that margin and extending that delayed gratification for as long as possible. So, okay, let's just say you make $2,000, you spend $1,000. Well, let's just say you get a job raise over time and now you're making $3,000. Well, still only spend $1,000. Maybe now you got another raise and you're making $5,000. Well, now you just only spend $1,000. You don't lifestyle inflate. You know, but a lot of people say, but you know, I work hard. Like, I work hard, so why can't I? Why can't I do this? Right? Why can't I spend more to enjoy my life? Well, it's just a delayed gratification. So if you went from making $2,000 and spending $1,000, that's $1,000 a month. You have a margin to invest in index funds, to invest in real estate. And if over time, let's say you're making $5,000 and you only spend $1,000, you have $4,000 in margin to, you know, invest in real estate, to invest in index funds, and that's more significant at that point, right? That's a lot more significant at this point. So, you know, it's really about that margin. You know, sorry, driving a bunch of inner roads and my car is doing all the signals. And when you have a self-driving car, you can't stop the signal. It just keeps on going. But, you know, if you have margin, now you can save, then start to invest, right? And that's the key thing. Like, you know, for me, I was a broke college student for most of my life. And when I made six figures, I just acted as if I was still a broke college student. So what's your base expense? Your base expense is housing. Okay, ideally, live at home, right? If you're close enough with your family or they live locally, just live at home. That's the cheapest way to do it. For the most part, it's free. Maybe you pay your parents a little bit of rent, but that's how I got ahead. But hey, I get it. Maybe you can't live at home. Maybe you don't get along with your family, right? Well, in that case, maybe just rent a room, right? Maybe just rent a room. Maybe you could just rent a room. Like I spent only $500 to rent a room, and literally a person was living in the living room, right? And I was making 6 figures. Can you have roommates, right? Like if you rent an apartment, so be it, but get a 2-bedroom apartment versus a 1-bedroom. A 1-bedroom apartment might be like $2,500 and a 2-bedroom might be like $2,800, but if you split it, it's cheaper overall. It's $1,400 each. So if you can do that, now you have margin, right? So that's your base expense is housing. So try to limit your housing. If you live at home for free, great. If you can't live at home for free, rent a room. Yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, it sucks. But you gotta do what you gotta do early on to set yourself up to invest, to have compound interest, to have passive income, right? Just takes discipline. And, maybe you're not getting a new car. Maybe you just drive your old car that you had in college that your parents got for you or that you got, right? It's okay if it still works. Don't get a car payment. Don't upgrade your car. And during this time, really analyze what brings you value. What brings you value? Like where does spending money give you the most value? For me, it's experiences, going out to eat, going on dates, travel, right? And yeah, you have to do it within reason, right? Like I'm not always gonna eat at a nice Michelin star restaurant every day. I can have just as much fun going to a local taco truck or a food stand. If you kind of pre-plan your day a little bit better, you can save a lot of money. So let me give an example. So let's just say you're going to I'll just say Disneyland because it's top of mind for me right now. Let's say you go to Disneyland, right? Obviously, the food's okay, in my opinion. Not the greatest, not the worst. But if you plan meals accordingly, you could probably, instead of doing 2 meals in Disneyland if you stay there the whole day, maybe you can eat before and then, have some snacks and then eat after. And you don't have to eat there at all, or you can reduce how many you eat, right? So maybe instead of like a dish for each person, just share a dish, a snack to buy time. And then once you're done Disneyland, go eat out, right? Because obviously some chicken tenders at Disneyland might cost like $25 when you can get chicken tenders outside for maybe $5. So if you kind of pre-plan your day, you can save some money. Just small thought process, right? And and you have to stretch your dollar a little bit. Like, so what does that mean? If you want to buy clothes, maybe you're not buying at full retail price. Maybe you're just buying on clearance. Maybe you're not being overly materialistic, right? Like if you look at your closet, and I'm guilty of this too. Like I don't wear 80% of my clothes. I wear the same clothes for the most part, but I don't wear 80% of my closet, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this. So maybe just rotate your clothes better, right? And then you'll have a lot of clothes that you maybe thought you didn't wear, or if the clothes beat up and whatnot, just throw it away and get new clothes and buy it on clearance. If you do some research for shopping for anything, just wait for a sale. Be patient. Wait for the sale, right? You don't have to get it today or tomorrow. Like for me, when I bought my laptop, I didn't say I need a laptop tomorrow. No, I just monitored the price. And then, I saw it was $2,000. And I saw they dropped the price to $1,200. And I was like, oh, I saved $100. And I just pulled the trigger and bought it. And, when you go buy it online at Best Buy, you can find coupon codes. You can find ways to, save money. Small little ways. Maybe I found a 10% coupon code online, spending, 5 minutes of research, and 10% is $120, right? So just be very thoughtful in how you spend your money, and just think, okay, is there a way for me to save money? Is there a way for me to get a coupon code? Can I wait? Right? It's just these little things that, they seem small, but they add up, right? Maybe you're not always doing Uber Eats, right? Maybe you drive there yourself and you pick up your food yourself, or you just go eat in the restaurant and enjoy, right? Like I like sitting in restaurants and eating for a different change of pace than eating at home, right? With Amazon and then Uber Eats, things are so convenient now. Just think ahead, right? There's a lot of little ways that you can save money. And like I said, you don't always have to penny pinch for the rest of your life, but in the period where you're building your wealth and you're trying to invest, you're probably gonna have to penny pinch, right? There's just no way around that, unfortunately. But yeah, obviously once you built up the net worth, once you hit your passive income goal, yeah, you don't have to worry as much, right? If you want to, 20, 30 bucks here and there is not gonna make or break you. But in the beginning, 20, 30 bucks can break you, make or break you, right? It's just getting that habit of being cognizant in how you spend. It's just okay, maybe drinking wine when you go to a nice restaurant, a nice steakhouse. Yes, you can buy a glass of wine at their steakhouse. It's probably 30, 40 bucks for a glass of wine. Or you can bring your own bottle. They might charge you a $30 corkage fee, but it's still cheaper, especially if you drink multiple glasses of wine, right? So it's just being very cognizant how you spend and know what brings you the most value, right? And I still do this to this day, despite being multiple, multi-millions. So it's not too bad in that sense, right? So, and for me, I like to travel. And for me, I use credit card hacking. So I got credit card points to cover my travel expense. You can shop on Google Flights to see your best flights. And I'm not flying business class. Even to this day, I'm flying economy. Maybe one day I'll lifestyle inflate to premium economy, which is double the price, but you get more leg room. Flying economy, and then hotels. I'm not staying at 5-star hotels. I'm just staying at 3-star hotels, but I care about location. I want to be in a hotel in a good location because I want to be able to walk to most of the attractions, where I want to be, right? When I travel, I'm never in my hotel because I'm always out and about exploring, trying new food, seeing new things. That's the point of me traveling. So I don't really care I just need a hotel to put my stuff, to sleep, and shower in a clean place to store my stuff. That's it. I don't need a luxury hotel. Now, if the point of my vacation is to enjoy a nice hotel, then I will splurge a little bit more in a hotel, right? So it's really about that mindset. So be very intentional how you spend your money, right? If you care about it, spend money on it, that's okay, right? But be very cognizant of each of your expenses. And it's a muscle you have to develop over time, right? I'm sure we all experience this. There's a watch you love, you bought this watch, feel good for a week or two, and after you wear it a few times, it just feels like normal. This happened to my wife. She was loving these earrings. It was a couple $100. Bought her the earrings for Christmas, and she loved it the day it came. But she's been wearing it every day because they're called everyday earrings apparently. I don't really know much about jewelry, but after a few days of wearing it, she's like, it looks like whatever. And I was just like, well, 2 days ago when you first got it, you loved it, and now you're just whatever about it. And that's how most purchases are. And that's why people buy a lot of things, right? Because you just want to feel good again and get that same dopamine high, that same feel goodness, right? So knowing that, that's just the way it is. So just drive a car that's within your means. Don't lifestyle inflate your car. And even me, if I were to get a nicer car, my dream car is an Audi R8, I know I'd be stressful driving that out because if I hit a curve, people are gonna want to key my car or vandalize my car because screw the rich people, right? My insurance is gonna be higher. The gas mileage is gonna be terrible. The repairs is gonna be expensive. So to me, I don't think that would improve my quality of life. If I want to experience driving an Audi R8, maybe I just can rent it for a weekend and just enjoy it, right? Or rent it on Turo and enjoy it for a weekend and call it a day. So it's really about being intentional how you spend. And like a lot of people, they struggle with this. Like they just spend money on everything. They just blow it and blow it and blow it. And you know, $10 here and there starts to add up. You waste your $10 here, $10 there. Like a big one is like, you know, just bring your own lunch, right? It's easy to like go to a cafeteria, blow $10 a day, right? It's easy to go to Starbucks. And when you go to Starbucks, you get your latte, and after all those add-ons, it's like $10, and you have to get a little egg bites on top of that. Boom, $20. Versus if you just bring your own coffee, you just solve the problem, right? You can go to Costco and get those pods, do coffee yourself. Or if you want coffee beans, go to Costco, get some coffee beans and make coffee yourself. So it's these small little decisions that compound over time, right? It sounds small today, but these little micro decisions compound over time. And I get it. I want to get to the point, like it's funny, like watching Graham Stephan, and he's just like, you know, he's worth 20, 30 million. And even he's just like, I have a hard time worrying about this like $200 expense. And you would think he's worth 20 million. Why does he care? Because that mindset of penny pinching and being really cognizant in how you spend your money and getting the value is what helped them be frugal to save up money to be able to invest. But, you know, now that he's wealthier, yes, it's another muscle, learn how to spend. And that's going to be me too. I'm going to have to learn how to spend, right? So like I said, it's a muscle. It's a muscle that you have to learn how to use. So, you know, it goes in phases, right? That's the downside of the FIRE community. Like people are just too damn cheap to do anything else, right? They're just too damn cheap to do anything else with it. So it's really that mindset that you have here. Sorry guys, got this hard left turn here. Okay. All right, back in action. It's just really, really, you know, being cognizant of every little expense in the beginning. But like I said, once you hit your net worth goal, you can start to lifestyle inflate later, right? Or if you keep investment as a percentage, you know, if you invest 10% of what you make, and as you make more, your investment goes up, right? But for me, I'd prefer just keep your lifestyle as low as possible, because it gets harder as you age. As you age, like from your 20s to your 30s, you have more obligations. Maybe you have a higher standard. Maybe you have kids. Maybe your parents are aging, you have to support them. Like your expenses are only gonna go up. So while you're young in your 20s, keep your expenses as low as possible. Be frugal. You can still travel. You can still have fun. You can still like go to Coachella. But maybe when you go to Coachella, you're not doing VIP. Maybe you're cram packing like 6-7 of you in one hotel to save money. Maybe you're camping at Coachella where it's cheaper and it's a different experience to do that in Coachella. So you just have to really make like, you know, do your pros and cons, right? And really allocate that. Like, okay, maybe you don't go as many bars because getting a cocktail is $20-$30. But maybe you can just have a kickback with your friends, get a handle of alcohol, which costs $40 for a handle, and that's good enough for 20 shots, right? You can make your own cocktails. So it's just really these small little things that really add up, right? Could you hang out? Could you just like go hiking? Could you just like have a board game night? You know, whatever you like doing, right? Or do you like playing sports? A lot of times sports are free. So it's really like those little things that add up, right? So you want to have as much margin as you can. And once you have that margin, just invest it aggressively, right? Like go into index funds. Save for a down payment on real estate. You know, whatever you like. If you don't like real estate, just do all SP 500. It's more passive. If you like real estate, well, maybe you can start buying turnkey real estate where you're not doing heavy renovations. Maybe you could start off, you know, just doing base hits, right? Don't do heavy renovation for your first deal. Make that first deal successful. That's the whole point of the first deal. The point of the first deal is to make sure that you want to do real estate again. That's it. If you do that, you won. And in order to do that, you want to make sure that you buy turnkey real estate, so it's less headache. You're just worried about property management and getting it rented out. So that's really it, right? You do that for a long period of time, 10 years, 15 years, you have a high savings rate. Like for me, I literally, just for context, house hacked until I was 30 years old, where I was renting out rooms. I was making $200,000 plus. And because of house hacking, my living expense was only like $1,000 or $1,500, or let's call it $2,000 a month all in. And I was taking home like $10,000. So I had $8,000 a month to save money, to dump in index funds, to buy more real estate. I did that for a long time, right? I still went out on dates, I still had fun, I still traveled, but my other expenses, like I didn't eat out as much, I just cooked, and I just kept my expenses as lean as possible. I didn't have a strict budget, but I just tried to watch my expenses. But once I moved to SoCal, I rented my own apartment. I didn't want a house hack anymore, and I got a decent apartment. Not lavish by all means, but yeah, it was a new apartment, $2,200 a month. I negotiated my apartment, my rent, to make sure it's lower, and I brought like some rental comps in. I came prepared, and I negotiated, and you move in, and then you buy your furniture, and you can buy furniture at clearance at Living Spaces or on Temu now, right? You can get furniture on Temu. And I don't need anything fancy. And you just live there, and I wanted privacy, but I was paying $2,200 or $2,200 a month, but I could afford to, right? I delayed gratification house hacking for like a few years, and I was living at home before that. So this is the first time I earned it, right? So I lifestyle inflated. I had a girlfriend, who's my current wife, Christine. I wanted more privacy, right? And then I just moved to Orange County, so I started eating out a little bit more because I wanted to enjoy the good food in Orange County. A lot of great Vietnamese food here. So, I spent a little more when I moved to Orange County, but it was okay because I delayed gratification, but I still, just to be clear, had margin to save money to invest, right? So maybe instead of saving, $8,000 a month, maybe I was only saving $3,000 a month because I had an apartment that I was renting, and I was spending more money going on dates with my current wife. That's okay. It's okay to do that. Oh wow, I drove by Echo Park. Haven't been here in a while. Or I think this is Echo Park. But anyways, it's a different like mentality, right? And then now, fast forward today, I make more money, but my wife and I have an expensive mortgage. Like we pay $7,500 a month between us two. We don't want to rent out rooms. We got a nicer house because like we delayed gratification for so long. Like now we want a place for our future kids, and we don't want to rent out the rooms anymore. Like we just want our privacy, enjoy our lives, right? Enjoy this dink lifestyle, dual income, no kids, for as long as I can, and enjoy it because I earned it, right? But despite that, my wife and I still have margin to invest, right? We are spending $700 a month, but that's probably 1/3 of our take-home income. So we still shop on discount, right? Like no shame, man. I buy that Costco Kirkland generic stuff. Tastes the same to me, right? Unless it's different, then I'll buy the brand name, or I buy the Walmart generic, which is what, Equate or Great Value. No shame, I still buy it. I don't see a difference, right? You can buy 60 eggs at Walmart for like $8, Walmart brand. I don't taste the difference. Maybe there's chemicals in there, but like I have no shame to this day. Even if I'm rich, I'll still buy these eggs. Why pay more for eggs if I don't have to, right? So that's what I mean. Like it's all about that margin. Like you have margin, and then once I hit all my real estate goals, my monthly passive income goals, my net worth goal, yeah, I'm not gonna care as much, right? I'll start to spend more money. I'll start to live life a little bit. Maybe I'll start to pay for a maid to come clean my house because I, can spend $500 to do that. Maybe I can fly premium economy and pay double for my plane ticket just because I want the convenience. Maybe I'll get a nicer hotel just because I can, right? Get a different experience out of that. Maybe I can go VIP if I want to go to Coachella, right? But I've delayed gratification for it. So, you gotta spend money on things based on your kind of age group. Like when you're in your 20s, you can like camp and rough it, right? Go to stay in a hostel. When you're in your 30s, maybe you have kids, you can't do that no more. You can't stay in a hostel. So that's when you maybe get a nicer hotel, right? But it's all these little decisions that you have to make. So if you're not willing to make all these sacrifices and little decisions and think about it, like don't be angry if, 20, 30 years fly by and you have no savings, right? Versus somebody who did make these little decisions over 20, 30 years and they built up $1 million plus nest egg, right? Like I said, it's very simple to do, but it's just hard to be disciplined, right? I get there might be periods where you have a few months where Maybe you got hit with a medical bill. Maybe times are tough. But still, I mean, okay, it might suck for like 6 months. But after 6 months, you go right back on track. Right? So that's why I don't get people like, you know, tenants telling me, oh, like, you know, we're going through a hard time. We'll pay you back. But I'm like, well, it's been like a year. You haven't paid me back yet. Like, you know, if you were disciplined, you could at least save $100-200 extra a month and pay me a little bit extra a month on the payment plan. But most people don't do that, right? Because they're just focused on like, this is how much I make and this is how much I spend. And they're distorted in terms of what's a luxury and what's a necessity. And as a reminder, Uber Eats is a luxury, not a necessity. Food is a necessity, right? Having a nice newer car, getting a car wash is a luxury, not a necessity. Right? Having new clothes is a luxury, not a necessity. Your current clothes is probably fine as is, right? So just being very cognizant of it and understanding your season of life, right? Like, it was funny. I remember at my mobile home park, like, you know, I had a tenant that wouldn't pay me rent, and then if you drive by their trash can, you see they bought a new TV. I'm like, okay, well, I think having a place to live is a necessity. Having a TV is a luxury. So like, get the priorities straight. So it's just these little things that add up over time. So, you know, if this video angers you, I hope it angers you into action. Because I don't want you to fast forward 10 years and it'll fly by and you had no savings because you just couldn't control your spending, right? So that's all it is. That's all it is. It's simple. And this is why a lot of Americans are not financially literate. A lot of Americans don't even know how much they spend. They don't know what's the difference between a luxury and a necessity. They're too focused on keeping up with other people just to flex. And honestly, most people don't really care about you. If you think about it, they don't care what you really wear. They might laugh at you. So what? They're gonna forget about it, right? So that's all it is. That's all it is. It's have a plan, stick to the plan. Yes, it's gonna suck. You know, like you can kind of bake in, like, you know, for me, like when I started investing, and sometimes like I just go through periods where I just want to spend, and I don't feel guilty for it, right? Because I knew I saved, I sacrificed, I grinded, right? So if I want a new laptop, I just buy a new laptop, right? After grinding, I don't feel bad, and I tell my wife that too. I'm like, don't feel bad. If you want it, buy it. If you're gonna use it every day, buy it. Don't feel guilty because you saved money, you worked hard, you're frugal. So it's a balance, right? It's a fine balance, and getting your priorities straight, right? So don't be angry. And I said, don't expect it to be easy. If you want to be worth be a millionaire, it's not easy. You have to make sacrifice, right? Maybe you have to do another side hustle, right? You live off your income, and then you get a side hustle and use that side hustle money to invest, right? So that's all it is. That's all it is. You know, to build wealth. It's very simple. It's hard to execute. So hopefully this gets you to, you know, spend less and have a higher savings rate and invest that difference. So anyways, hopefully you found value. Please like, comment, subscribe. Love to hear your thoughts. If you want to join my school community on a free trial, if you want my course, I just lowered the price of my course. If you want coaching, if you want Steadily Landlord Insurance quote, if you want to use Lending One, all in my link tree. Also, you want to send me an email, all in the link tree. Otherwise, hope to see you in the next one, and thank you so much.